Namaste. Namaste, everyone.
Good morning, Kumar.
Good morning, Badrik. How are you?
Good, good.
My sister and Shobna, my niece, both are there from Bombay, joining from Bombay. And we are going to have slightly less attendance today because few are going to the retreat. 3 are going to the retreat. They are not going to be there. And Mohan and Usha, they said they may go. I think they have a meeting to attend. That's what the Mohan was, but he was not surest when I spoke to him a couple of days back. So let us see how many will join. And I need my sutra chanting voice also. She is not here yet. Let's see.
In fact, that chanting is the most beautiful. It's so soothing to start with.
Yeah, she teaches.
And, very, very clear pronunciations.
Yeah, she teaches how to chant. So whoever is interested can also ask her. She might, and she will teach.
She says she teaches Sanskrit.
No, she teaches to chant shlokas, yoga sutras, and all that.
Okay. Oh, Mohan is here.
Yes. Mohan is here. Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Mohan.
Just mentioning that we may have a slightly thinner attendance today because the 3 people who will definitely attend, they are in the retreat.
Yes.
And a few others, probably they are a couple of minutes late. They will join. Anyway, let's get started.
Namaste, Kumar, and namaste, others.
Namaste. Namaste.
Morning.
Namaste.
Morning. Good morning.
Namaste. Namaste, everyone. So let's get started. Let's start with 3 ohms. Please take a deep breath. Namaste, everyone. Kranti, go ahead, please.
That full chapter, right?
Yeah.
ॐ योगेन चित्तस्य पदेन वाचां मलं शरीरस्य च वैद्यकेन योपाकरोत्तं प्रवरं मुनीनां पतञ्जलिं प्राञ्जलिरानतोऽस्मि आबाहुपुरुषाकारं शङ्खचक्रासिधारिणं सहस्रशिरसं श्वेतं प्रणमामि पतञ्जलिं श्रीमते अनन्ताय नागराजाय नमो नमः। अथ समाधिपादः। अथ योगानुशासनं। योगः चित्तवृत्तिनिरोधः। तदा द्रष्टुः स्वरूपे अवस्थानं वृत्तिसारूप्यम् इतरत्रा वृत्तयः पञ्चतयः क्लिष्टाः प्रमाण विपर्यय विकल्प नित्र स्मृतयः प्रत्यक्ष अनुमान 1 second अनुमान आगमाः प्रमाणानि विपर्ययो मिथ्याज्ञानम् अतद्रूपप्रतिष्ठं शब्दज्ञानानुपाती वस्तुशून्यो विकल्पः अभावप्रत्ययालम्बन तमोवृत्तेर्निद्रा अनुभूतविषय असम्प्रमोषः स्मृतिः अभ्यासवैराग्याभ्यां तन्निरोधः तत्र स्थितौ यत्नोऽभ्यासः स तु दीर्घकाल नैरन्तर्य सत्कार आदरा आसेवितो दृढभूमिः द्रष्टानुश्रविक विषयवितृष्णस्य वशीकारसंज्ञा वैराग्यं तत्परं पुरुषख्यातेः गुणवैतृष्ण्यं वितर्क विचार आनन्द अस्मितारूप अनुगमात् सम्प्रज्ञातः विरामप्रत्यय अभ्यासपूर्वः संस्कारशेषः अन्यः भवप्रत्ययो विदेहप्रकृतिलयानां श्रद्धा वीर्यस्मृतिसमाधिप्रज्ञा पूर्वक इतरेषां तीव्रसंवेगानाम् आसन्नः मृदु मध्य अधिमात्रत्वात् ततोऽपि विशेषः ईश्वर प्रणिधानाद्वा क्लेश कर्म विपाक आशयैः अपरामृष्टः पुरुषविशेष ईश्वरः तत्र निरतिशयं सर्वज्ञबीजं स एष पूर्वेषामपि गुरुः कालेनानवच्छेदात् तस्य वाचकः प्रणवः तच्चपः तदर्थभावनं ततः प्रत्यक्चेतनाधिगमः अपि अन्तराया भावश्च व्याधि स्त्यान संशय प्रमाद आलस्य अविरति भ्रान्तिदर्शन अलप्तभूमिकत्व अनवस्थितत्वानि चित्तविक्षेपाः ते अन्तरायाः दुःख दौर्मनस्य अङ्गमे जयत्व श्वासप्रश्वासाः विक्षेप सह भुवः तत्प्रतिषेधार्थम् एकतत्त्वाभ्यासः मैत्री करुणा मुदितोपेक्षाणां सुखदुःख पुण्यापुण्यविषयाणां भावनातः चित्तप्रसादनम् प्रच्छर्दन विधारणाभ्यां वा प्राणस्य विषयवती वा प्रवृत्तिरुत्पन्ना मनसः स्थितिनिबन्धिनी विशोका वा ज्योतिष्मती वीतरागविषयं वा चित्तं स्वप्ननिद्रा ज्ञानालम्बनं वा यथाभिमत ध्यानाद्वा परमाणु परममहत्त्वान्तः अस्य वशीकारः क्षीणवृत्तेः अभिजातस्येव मणेः ग्रहीतृग्रहणग्राह्येषु तदञ्जनता समापत्तिः स्मृतिपरिशुद्धौ स्वरूपशून्येव अर्थमात्रनिर्भासा निर्वितर्क एतयैव सविचारा निर्विचारा च सूक्ष्मविषया व्याख्याता सूक्ष्मविषयत्वञ्च अलिङ्गपर्यवसानं ता एव सबीजः समाधिः निर्विचारवैशारध्ये अध्यात्मप्रसादः ऋतंभरा तत्र प्रज्ञा श्रुतानुमान प्रज्ञाभ्याम् अन्यविषया विशेषार्थत्वात् तच्च संस्कारः अन्यसंस्कार प्रतिबन्धी तस्यापि निरोधे सर्वनिरोधात् निर्बीजः समाधिः.
Thank you, Purna. Thank you.
Thank you.
So let me stop this share and all right, here we go. So we stopped at Sutra 43 last week. That is Nirvitarka Samadhi, Nirvitarka Samapatti. So we started at 41. And actually starting from 41 through 51, these are the sutras. Again, remember that this is an introductory chapter. So, Patanjali Muni is giving us a kind of a closer look, not yet fully in great detail, but he's giving a closer look into the various states leading to Samadhi. So, in Sutra 17, we saw that Vitarka Vichara Ananda Anugamat Samprajnataha. So that Samprajnataha state he described in 17, and then following that in 18, 19, and 20, he said the various states he described before one gets to Samprajnataha state. So these are all the states. Again, he is explaining, but a little bit more in detail now. The various states one might one will go through to get there. Why is he saying all this? Because when we go through this spiritual path, we may have experiences like this, and we must be able to understand this is not the end. So this is the process. This is the process. We are going through a journey. So we must not stop. And that's why he is giving all this. Many people stop at the very first stage of maybe getting focus, or a few instances of what one might say as coincidences. So they will say, oh, now, yes, the divine has heard my prayer and it has been answered, and they will stop there. So that's why it's a kind of a warning to us. So In Sutra 41, he says, he describes a state called samapatti, which is which he says, as we can see, born as a consequence of the weakened expressions. So the chitta vrittis have weakened because earlier, up to Sutra 40, about 7 or 8 sutras, he described what are all the various techniques one can use to get focus. Right? He said you take anything you want, which feels good for you. Focus on that, and that's how you develop that concentration. So he's going further. Born as a consequence of the weekend, because of that, because of the practice. How did we practice? Again, yeah, we have to go back to the sutra. He says, Satu dirgha kala nairantarya satkara sevito drida bhumihi. That is, dirgha kala, long, for a long period of time, for many years, dirgha kala nairantarya, uninterrupted, dirgha kala nairantarya satkara sevito, with a great feeling of devotion. When you continue that practice, then it gets firmly established in us. So we have done this. So we have done this for many years, and because of that, the chitta vrittis have quietened. And because of the chitta vrittis have quietened, we have come to a state called samapatti. And he says samapatti, the state of samapatti, is like the taking on the color of by a crystal. He keep a crystal right next to another colored object, then the crystal takes that color temporarily. So this is the case of the knower, the process of knowing, and the object to be known all become one. This is the state of samapatti, and this is what we are saying, the state of very high concentration. So from there he says, when we go further, he says, when the word, meaning, form, and understanding are imagined from a mixed state, it is savitarka samapatti. So we saw an example of this, how one goes from home to work. So the house is the beginning point, and the travel, and the destination. So the form is all the routing that takes place from home to work, and the understanding are all, they're all mixed up, but if somebody asks us, we will be able to tell that this is the route I took. But there is definitely a kind of automation as we do when we do this. The next one, where this state he is describing as nirvitarka. Here he says, when the memory has been fully cleaned and wiped out, void of any form, when the intent alone is experienced, it is nirvitarka samapatti. Samapatti, that is intuitive without deliberation. This samapatti state is intuitive without deliberation, meaning you only think of going to office, next thing you know is you're at work. How you got into the car, how you drove, those things are all not in your memory, but they all happened. So this is the next higher level of samapatti state. So this is nirvitarka samapatti. So this is where we stopped. Any questions? Okay. Let's move on. And Sutra 44. So etasya eva savichara nirvichara cha sukshma vishaya vyakyatha. So, etaya eva savichara nirvichara cha sukshma vishaya vyakyata. Let's see word by word. Etaya, in the same way. What in the same way? In the same way that we saw Savitarka and Nirvitarka. So just like Savitarka and Nirvitarka, the same way, Eva is like in the same way, or similar to Savicharka and Nirvicharka, Savitarka and Nirvitarka. Savichara and Nirvichara. Vichara means reflective, right? We saw that. Vitarka Vichara, Sutra 17. So, Vichara, Savichara is reflective. Nirvichara is non-reflective or intuitive. Cha and or also Sukshma Vishaya, that is related to subtle matters. Vyakhyata is explained. So he says, now he is saying, I'm going to explain two more states to you. That is, these two states are called Savichara and Nirvichara, and which we are calling as reflective, which is Savichara, and Nirvichara is non-reflective or intuitive. So is I'm in the same way I'm going to explain to you two states, Savichara and Nirvichara, related, but why I'm calling it by a different name, he says, is because this is related to subtle matters. Because this is related to subtle matters. What are these subtle matters? This could be, you could be reflecting on karma. You could be reflecting on vasana. You could be reflecting on rebirth. Or you could be taking a mantra and you could be reflecting on that. So these are all internal. You are not looking at any external object. So you are looking at all internal things. So that's why he says this is related to subtle matters, and that's why he is naming it as Savichara and Nirvichara. So he has used Savitarka and Nirvitarka as similes to make us understand Savichara and Nirvichara. So now he is going to give us a little bit more and what these really mean. Any question? Okay, everyone is understanding. Sukshma Vishayatvam, Sutra 45. Sukshma Vishayatvam cha alinga paryavasanam. Sukshma Vishayatvam cha alinga paryavasanam. So let us see. Sukshma, by now we know. Sukshma means subtle. Vishayatvam. Vishaya means subject. So in the case of subtle matters, Sukshma Vishayatvam means in the case of subtle matters, cha also or and, alinga. Alinga. Linga means indicator. Alinga means without indicators, signs or characteristics. So that's the meaning of alinga. Pariyavasanam, culmination in the very end. So he says in the case of subtle matters too, the culmination is awareness without indicators or signs, without characteristics, undefined. That's what he says. So let us see what this means. So in the earlier case, in the Savitarka, Nirvitarka, there were objects. right? There were objects. So he says here, in the case of subtle matters, the culmination is without awareness, without indicators or signs. There are no forms or anything or no indicators. That's what he says. And then following that, he says, this is what we call as, so let us read Sutra 46. Tha ta eva sabija samadhi. So for the first time, now he is defining samadhi. Ta eva sabija samadhi. Ta, the previously referred, that is the previous sutra that he talked about. Eva, indeed only. Sabija samadhi is seed-based samadhi. He says it is that indeed is sabija samadhi, seed-based. Bija means in Sanskritam, bijam means seed. Actually, the fruit guava is called bija phalam. I don't know if you when you do any of these religious ceremonies at home and you have a guava as an offering along with other fruits, if the priest who comes home is observant, instead of just mechanically saying a few names, generally, they are observant. They will look at the fruits that are there, and then if guava is there, he will say bija phalam. He will say that. So this is how we relate to our daily life. So sabija, why is it called bija phalam? Because guava, not the um, genetically modified guava, but the original native guava is full of seeds. So that is why it is called bija phalam. So sabija means seed based. What is the seed here to get in this samadhi state? Anybody? There was a seed to get to the state. That's why this is called sabija samadhi. What was the seed? What was the we did take up some subject matter, right? And we said in savichara and nirvichara, we said we are taking subtle matters into focus. So I said it could be rebirth, or it could be karma, it could be klesha, it could be um, vasana, it could be a mantra. I said all that. So that is the seed. That is the seed.
So, you can speak now.
Is it awareness that is the seed?
Awareness is not the seed here. We are trying to understand a particular phenomenon. There is a phenomenon called rebirth, but we don't know what it is or why it is occurring. So we want to find out. So that initial thought, oh, I want to find out about rebirth, that we are calling a seed. Yeah, in a way, yes, awareness. Unless you have awareness about wanting to know about rebirth, you are not going to start on reflecting on rebirth. In a way, yes. See, yeah, go ahead.
No, okay, got it. Because the previous three, you was talking about what are all the states of different states to which you get in, correct?
I'm not, you mean Sutra 44, 45, 46, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
So Sutra 44, 45, 46 is actually describing what is this Sabija Samadhi? Forget about 44. 44 is, he is introducing in 44. Let me scroll up a little bit and see that too. In 44, he is just saying, similarly in the same way, Savichara. So he's saying, just like how we described Savitarka, Nirvitarka, I'm going to give you two more states, but these are states on where you're going to focus on, reflect on subtle matters, not gross matters, right? So he's saying, this is what I'm going to describe. And then he says, this state of Sabija Samadhi. With me?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let us read these. Okay. Maybe if we read this, then we'll have a slightly deeper understanding. So he says here, in just like Samapatti is focus on an external object, driving, and I don't know if I gave you the knitting example. Knitting example, you can understand. You have a cloth, you have a needle, you have a thread. So in Savitarka Samadhi, all these are there. And then you're knitting. And you're, let us say you're somebody is knitting and making a nice picture, embroidery work. In Nirvitarka, the person is just doing, but has no completely lost control. I shouldn't use the word control. Has completely lost the fact that she or he really knitting. The act is going on. It is so nicely, beautifully automated. Only the person remembers the start and the end. They started, and then picture is, and the embroidery work is complete. So that is one more example, just like the driving thing. The idea of Sabija Samadhi. So now he says, just like the Samapati is focused on external object, the Sabija Samadhi is for subtle matters. Such subtle matters would be like a mantra or a thought, like surrender to God. How do I mean, this is a big word, surrender to God. We have spoken about it a little bit. People very easily throw that word, surrender to God. So one might, these are all abstract things where the focus is completely in the internal domain. The equivalent of Nirvitarka Samapatti on subtle matters leads to Sabija Samadhi. Nirvitarka Samadhi. That is where the process was completely absorbed. So from there we have come to on subtle matters. So the Nirvitarka Samapatti on subtle matters leads us to Sabija Samadhi. There is a seed, that's all. And we are focusing, and then we have got into that state of Sabija Samadhi. With me? You are still focusing. You have not got the answer yet. With me? Okay.
Yes, Kumar. Yeah.
So let's move on to Sutra 47. Nirvichara Vaisharadyehe Adhyatma Prasadah. Nirvichara Vaisharadehe Adhyatma Prasadah. Let us see what he says here. So he's already using the word nirvichara. So we have finished with savichara. Last week we saw savitarka and nirvitarka. Tarka means discussion on debating on external things. Now we have come to reflection. Vichara is reflection. So savichara is that sabija samadhi. That's what we saw. That's how we came to sabija samadhi. So now he is saying nirvichara is non-reflective meditation. Vaishara dehe means acquiring skill of, ability of. So putting both the words together, nirvichara vaishara dehe, acquiring the skill of non-reflective, which will take us to the state of samadhi. Adhyatma, what is beyond the individual person in the province of the higher entity of God. So nirvichara, this state is now not that one can do with abhyasa or vairagyam, etc. Because this is beyond the individual person. It is in a different zone. That's what he's saying. It is what is beyond the individual person in the province of the higher entity or God. Prasadaha equals is the purification or grace. So adhyatma prasadaha, both words put together, is the purification or grace of the higher entity. Is the purification. Adhyatma prasadaha means is the purification or grace of the higher entity. So, in summary, is saying ability to be non-reflective. The ability to be non-reflective, that is, ability to be in meditation and to be in a non-reflective state, is the grace of our purification by the higher entity. What is beyond the innermost awareness of the individual, which is Adi Atma. Adi Atma. Adi means old, always present, whichever what you want to call. Adi Atma. Who is that Adi Atma? That Paramatma, that unmanifest divine, Ishvara. So it is in his hands. That's what he's saying. Ability to be non-reflective. The ability of me to be non-reflective, to have that ability, is the grace or purification by the higher entity. So it is in the hands of Adi Atma. For the first time he says, to get to this state of nirvichara and to be able to connect, it is through the grace of the divine. So you can understand that many people come up to a certain point. And this is what I mentioned a few classes back about how Buddha never got to this connectivity of the divine. And he got up to a certain point, and that itself was so nice and peaceful, he stopped there. With me? Let us see, before we get to the next sutra, let's see some explanation about 47. This will give you some deeper understanding. So 47 through 50, he says, these are the characteristics of Sabija Samadhi. We are still not in Nirvichara. We are still in Savichara. These sutras describe the nature of Sabija Samadhi. Since this chapter is the introductory overview, Sabija Samadhi and the general characteristics of any kind of samadhis have been explained in a simple way. He is going to explain in a much detailed way later on. That's what in later chapters. So in Sutra 47, He said the grace of higher entity. From now, the points that describe Sabhita Samadhi are the following. Grace of higher entity, the state of non-reflectiveness. So this we are going to term as dhyana in chapter 2. This is going to give a prescription in chapter 2 called Ashtanga Yoga, where he's going to talk about 8 states, which will, the 8th state is the state of samadhi. So you're starting from 1, we progress to the state of samadhi. So yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. So dharana, dhyana, samadhi, the final 3 states, these are called internal states. Okay, the first 5 are called external states. So the last 3 states, dharana, dhyana, samadhi, the state of dharana is the state of focusing, concentration. That's what we saw in savitarka and nirvitarka and samapatti. All that are state of dharana. Now, the state of non-reflectiveness called dhyana in chapter 2 comes from the higher grace of higher entity. So he says this is similar to the point made in Sutra 16 in the first part of this chapter, where the non-reactiveness to flow of gunas is attributed to the Purusha and is the precursor to the state of Samprajñataka state. The Samprajña state in Sutra 17, that is Vitarka, Vichara, Ananda, Asmita, Anugamat, Samprajñata. That's what he said there. So before we came to Sutra 17, in Sutra 16, he says the non-reactiveness to the flow of gunas. Gunas, if you recall, gunas means the 3 gunas. What are they? Rajas, tamas, and sattva. Rajas guna, sattva guna, tamas guna, and sattva guna. All of us have this. But they have to be balanced. When they are unbalanced is the problem. So the tamas reflects inertia, laziness, those kinds of things. Rajas is highly hyperactive people. Hyperactivity is rajas. Sattva guna is constant, maintaining that equilibrium. Moderation. We saw sutra on moderation. So moderation comes from sattva guna. So we had a poll on one of the aspects of sattva guna a couple of days back. Right? You remember that sutra 33. Very important sutra. So those are the 3 gunas, rajas, tamas, and sattva. So in Sutra 16, there we saw because of the practices that we did, we now have a control over the gunas. Meaning, the gunas are the ones which make us reactive. The moment we see something, the kleshas kick in, and the kleshas kick in, and the kleshas now, through the gunas, make us react. Create the chittavrittis to make us react. So when the gunas are under control, then we become less reactive. Less reactive meaning less chittavrittis. Less chittavrittis means more energy in the body. So more energy in the body, when there is more energy in the body, then there is a higher chance of getting connected to the unmanifest divine. So anyway, so he says the state of non-reflectiveness comes from the grace of higher entity. This is similar to the point made in Sutra 16 in the first part of this chapter, where the non-reflectiveness to flow of gunas is attributed to the Purusha and is the precursor to the state of prajna, samprajna. So Purusha is that modem, right? So each one of us has a tiny piece of the divine in us, of the unmanifest divine in us. That is that modem. And then we call the unmanifest divine also as Sattva Purusha, is higher, highly purified Purusha. That's what we call. So this Purusha, there is a so this Purusha is the one which is going to enable us to control, to get a control on the flow of gunas. That's what he said there. This essentially points to the requirement of a divine communion, and that comes only from divine grace. So, what does it mean for this Purusha to waken up and to get connected? When we say connected, that means there has to be a handshake between us and the divine. So this essentially points to the requirement of a divine communion, and that comes only from divine grace, because the divine has to extend its hand to us. Divine grace has to be understood in terms of the needs of the cosmic flow, in terms of individual dharma, a role for which each one of us is born. Okay? Divine grace has to be understood in terms of the needs of the cosmic flow. So the divine godmother has created all the chittas, and some chittas have taken birth, and that's as human beings. And that's how we have this 7 billion plus population, and we are one among them. And here he says divine grace has been understood in terms of the needs of the cosmic flow. So if the need of the cosmic flow is such that I must have full connectivity with the divine all the time, then it will happen. If for Subramanian Kumar that is not a requirement of by the cosmic flow, by the higher entities have decided that I don't need full connectivity, I need a little bit here and there, that's what I will get.
Can I interrupt you here, Kumar?
Yes.
Okay, would you be able to explain a little bit more about this non-reflectiveness state is dhyana? Then what is reflective state?
So reflective state is the savichara.
So which means I have a lot of thoughts running through my head?
No. That's not what we are talking about. We are savichara and nirvichara. When we say reflective, we are talking about taking a particular subtle matter. That's what I said, like rebirth, like surrender to the divine, those kinds of things. Not materialistic thoughts. We are not talking about that. How to make money, how to invest. We are not talking about that.
Oh.
Are you following?
So if I take one such a what do you call it, the idea or the thought, those are reflective. That's a state of reflection, is it? If I'm thinking about any one of those aspects, like my rebirth or
Karma, vasana, surrender, any of those things. I'm not. This is not the only. This is just part of a huge list. So it could be n number of subtle things, right?
okay.
Those are called reflective approach.
So then in non-reflective state, what happens? It's empty of thought?
Correct.
Oh,
Chitta vrittis have to completely die down, right? All the chitta vrittis.
okay. Okay,
So in a non-reflective state, he is going to explain that a little bit more, but for now, a non-reflective state is a state where you are connected to the divine all the time.
Kumarji, I
Doesn't
had
seem intuitive. Yeah, go ahead.
actually, you were just mentioning that if the divine decides that it should be a part or a complete connection with the divinity, so if we don't have any control on over the connectivity to the divine,
Yes.
and it's up to the divine,
Yes.
how do we know if we are putting enough effort? As it is complicated to attain the state of whatever has been described here on a day-to-day basis.
Hmm.
We don't know if it is meant to be partial or like, connectivity or like, and again, now, the second part of the question is, okay, even if we attain all these things and we have a life here in this world, and the purpose of our life, as we discussed last time, is to be one with the divine. Does it kill ambition? Does it kill aspirations? Does that make sense in this life?
Where does ambition come from? So that is where we have to see. Where
Okay.
does ambition, where does it come from? I want to make money. I want to make this. Where does it come from? It comes from Abhinivesha. I am the doer. It comes from there.
Might not be always money, right? Ambition could be something to be a useful person for many. Like, the other day you had sent me a video about a person HR who took a lot of
Yeah.
turns and then eventually became like, one of the leading contributor to the education, and then yeah, so that he realized Swadharma. So I am little confused about the states that we have. It definitely, like, if you go deeper into this subject, especially Patanjali Yoga Sutra, you start feeling that everything is trivial. We shouldn't be like worrying about these trivial things. It is like ultimate is to like eventually death and one with the divinity. Death in the sense, I'm not meaning it in a bad way, as mentioned. So like, that's like a kind of what I was earlier. Like I used to be very ambitious, very aspirational, but I don't see the urge. And I have seen, heard in many of the talks of philosophers saying that a person who is happier cannot be ambitious, and a person who is with ambition can never be happy because
See, this is where we go back. I mean, we come down to uh, our will and divine will. There are two things: the divine's will and our will, the human will. So when you take on the divine will, there is no option. There will be no there will be no option. You will just go on that path. That's it. At every step, you will be guided. But when it comes to the human will, there will be many forks. So at each and every fork, you have to make a decision. Should I take this? Should I take that? Or should I take the third one? Or should I take the fourth one? Such a thing will never be there when you're following the divine will. But we have never been educated how to follow the divine will. So going through all this, at some point of time, those things will fall into place. You will start understanding, you will start following the divine will. And the Swadharma also comes from that. And you should not also see everything as absolutely 100% pure. I sent you a video about the person who became he started a matram change. That's what it is, and how he's helping people with who are economically backward and all that, with education, etc. So, if, for all we know, we don't know the full details how exactly he got into this. It could be a vasana, okay. So we don't know all the details. So for an external person, it looks as if he just made a determination and he got it. It could be much deeper than that. That's what I'm trying to tell you. I don't know if it answers your question.
Partly, yes. And I think, as you said, divine will, uh, we need to learn to listen to those cues and then understand it. I'm not at this stage yet. I'll wait.
Yeah, I mean, see, those things come uh, with that immense understanding of the divine and that surrender to the divine. It's again a very big word. It all comes from there. Very, very difficult uh, to follow the divine will, because first of all, we must be able to decipher that divine will, and it's not easy to, because the education system, the way we are brought up, we have fallen off. See, for example, I will give you this example. Priya is not here. She is in the retreat. Uh, I asked Priya as soon as the flyer came for the retreat, why don't you attend the retreat? He said, very reluctantly, she said, okay, Kumarji, but oh, you must also come to the retreat. I'll see. I said, I will see. Uh, she said, anyway, um, because her daughter is going to college. Her daughter got admission in 2 or 3 different universities outside of Tampa, and one in Tampa, the USF, University of South Florida. She didn't choose any of this. She didn't want any of that, and she also got a few others outside of the state of Tampa, outside the state of Florida. She didn't pick any of that. She picked one in Melbourne, Florida, where the retreat is going on. Because there is I forget the name of the university, but they are one of the leading institutions in aerospace engineering. For whatever reasons, she picked that. And then she insisted, and it's a quite an expensive school too. I think it costs $60,000 to $80,000 a year. And she has to go to school for at least 4 years. But anyway, Priya and her husband agreed. And there was one more condition from the girl. She said, uh, they went and looked and they didn't like the dorm. So she wanted to stay in an apartment. And she said, Mom, you have to come with me. So Priya agreed to go with her for a few months. And then before leaving, this is almost a month and a half back, I think. Before leaving, they came here. All 3 of them came to my house to speak to me, to be with me for an hour or two, and then just to get my blessings, whatever it is, to get my best wishes. So at the time I asked the girl, see, I've spoken to you a few times earlier, and you were bent upon going to a place far away from your parents because you wanted to have your own freedom. And now you are saying you want to go to Melbourne, and not only that, it's only about 2 hours drive from here, 2.5 hours drive from Tampa. And you also want your mom with you in an apartment. Why would you want that? And then she very slyly smiles and she says, I need somebody to cook for me. Somehow I feel it will be very difficult without it. Anyways, now Priya is gone, and her husband also, because he works remote. He also goes there for a few days every week. And I think every couple of weeks they come here for the weekend to make sure the house here is okay. So this may go on for 3-4 months, maybe for one semester. And yeah, and the daughter has told them that she will try this out for a semester. And then if she really likes this, she will continue. Otherwise, she'll go. Anyways, this is the background. And then yesterday, for some reason, this topic, not directly, um, she mentioned, I asked her, I think, is she going to the retreat? And she said, oh, yeah. Already, yeah. There was something else she asked. And in that context, I told her, are you asking about registering for the yoga class, life in yoga daily class, or this about the retreat? Then she said, oh, retreat I already booked a long time back. I said, oh, very nice that you're going. And then I wrote to her saying that, did you see this? You were very reluctant. Even before this, I've told her many times to join life in yoga uh, classes to get some rhythm into her life. She would attend for a few days and then she would let go. And then she very irregular kind of. So, but then I said, this time you have already booked all that. Did you see that what all that Ishvara had to do to get you to attend this retreat? First of all, he had to make her daughter choose this school in Florida, in Melbourne, although she got admission in 4 or 5 different other places. Why would anybody pick up this? Tell me. And then she also put a condition saying that she will not stay in the dorm because for whatever reasons, the dorm was not appealing to her. And then anybody would say, okay, we will get you a studio apartment. And she says, no, I want mother to come and stay with me. And because of that condition that you had to stay there, you were able to attend. And the retreat center is only, because Melbourne is a small town, it's only about 10 minutes or 15 minutes from where she is. Then she said, oh my goodness, now that you're telling me, I understand this string of events that has taken place, but still it's very difficult for me to accept this. Uh, this is like, a coincidence. It just happened. This is how the human mind works. When we are able to connect these kinds of things in our life to the divine grace, then all this divine will, swadharma, all these things will become more clear. I gave you a big example. Does it make sense?
That was a good one.
You understood? Okay. So let us quickly. So this is 47. In Sutra 47, this is what he says. You need that handshake of the higher energy uh, for to get into the non-reflective state. And then in Sutra 48, he talks about the intuitive knowledge. Did we cover Sutra 48? Thought we did, right? Hold on, maybe I am in. Yes, we covered all that. 48, 49. 50. We came right up to 50. Okay.
We didn't cover 48.
We didn't cover 48.
No.
Only
I
to
jumped to 49
47.
directly. I jumped to 49 directly.
Yes. Yes.
Did not even do 49.
Where did we stop?
47.
47.
Oh, we stopped at 47. All right. Okay. That is where he says Adi Atma, right? So that Adi Atma, connection from Adi Atma has to come for that to get into that non-reflective state. So we will. So I will quickly cover 48 because it's not a very big sutra. Rithambara Tatra Prajna. Rithambara means filled with the knowledge of cosmic flow. Tatra is there. Prajna is intuitive knowledge. So they're filled with the knowledge of the cosmic flow is intuitive knowledge. So when that connectivity happens, then you get that intuitive knowledge, prajna. Rithambara tatra prajna. Very important sutra. So that's why here we'll go look at what he says for 48. Very so intuitive intellect surfaces. So I always call this intuitive intellect is the only intellect. Without that, all other things that we have are all stored intellect.
Subscribe.
No,
It happened, this stored intellect happened from the intuitive level. Now and then we got connected. Everything that you have understood deeply is because at that moment the divine connected and that knowledge came and it happened in a flash. So we didn't even understand. We didn't even know that such a thing happened. Every single small understanding that happened to us, it never happened because of our brilliance. Unfortunately, we have been trained to think that if I understand something in 2 minutes and somebody gets it in 10 seconds, then we say the other person is brilliant. Yeah, in a way they are brilliant. In what way? They are able to connect to the divine to get that understanding. So that is the brilliance. It has nothing to do with the individual as such.
No, Alex, please.
I know.
Not that way.
Okay, so let us read this. Sutra 48 points to Rithambara Prajna, or intuitive knowledge surfacing from connectivity into the cosmic flow. This is the beginning of the direct experience of cosmic reality that yoga provides. This is comparable to Samprajna and other states of Samadhi noted in Sutras 17 to 19 in this chapter. Although the idea of Samprajna is much higher than that of Sabija Samadhi, so Samprajna is much higher than Sabija Samadhi. Sabija Samadhi is just an entry point to the state of Samadhi. In the initial stages, one may think of specific people for some reason, and a minute later the person may be calling, or the phone, or may just show up. Like the other day, Purna had a question on Tirumandiram. And even before I could answer, Manjula put out a message. And then I sent out a message saying that, see the compassion of the divine. So these things like this happen. In the initial stages, one may think of specific people for some reason, and a minute later, the person may be calling on the phone or may just show up. For those involved in research activity, there will be sudden popping of ideas or knowledge in the head, especially after a good night's sleep or after a quiet meditative period. So where is this solution to a problem? A very annoying problem has come.
It was there in your head.
It has come from the divine.
Reached out principle.
But the individual, Subramanian Kumar, when he goes to work, he will project as if it came from him. Won't he? This is how Subramanian Kumar led his life for the first 41 years. And then he learned.
I'm sorry.
So let's stop at
Is
Sutra
that
40.
part of the surrendering?
You see, they are all interlinked, yes. Whether surrender comes from that or because of an experience with the divine, the surrender gets kicked in. They are all interlinked. It's not uh, uh, disconnected. They are not disconnected things. Yes. Why
Thanks.
did Kumar wake up? Because Kumar woke up because there was a crisis in 1990, in 94 or in 92 actually, 92, 90, 93, really speaking. And in 94, the divine woke me up. I'm going to stop here for discussion. So we stop at Sutra 48. So we have 3 more sutras to go for this chapter. So next week we will cover those 3 sutras. Any questions before?
Can you go over in order what are the states? Like he says, Saprajna is higher than the Sabija Samadhi. So first we had to go into the Savitarka, then Nirvartarka, then Savichara.
Savitarka, Nirvitarka, Savichara, Nirvichara. The Nirvichara state is the beginning of Samprajnataka state. See, even one is in Samadhi. The Nirvichara is the state of Samadhi, correct? Yes? So the Nirvichara state is the state of Samadhi. So in the state of Samadhi itself, there are variations. There are higher levels of Samadhi. And finally, in the state of Samadhi, one can get to Kaivalyam. We'll see that next week. I think somewhere you would have probably mentioned that. We'll see that next week. I want to. We have covered. We started at 44. We are ending at 48. So we covered 5 sutras. 5 sutras.
So, sir, actually, that means we are starting at Sutra 1.17 from Vitarka, and then we move into that Samadhi Sutra. So, like it starts at Vitarka, Vichara, we reach that Asmita Rupa. That is what you are actually saying about I.
So
Like,
the Samprajna, yes, the Sutra 47 is even higher than maybe the Nirvichara state that is going to
yeah,
describe.
yeah.
In 51, he is going to say Nirvichara, right?
Hmm.
So Nirvichara is the beginning of the Samprajnataka state.
Correct.
So
So
there are
that,
various levels of states of Samadhi.
yeah.
So we may not cover every. I mean, Patanjali Muni may not talk about every state of Samadhi because at that level, one will be able to they will know it themselves because they have the divine connectivity. And they will pursue further and further and further.
Sabija Samadhi, we are still reflecting on the Bija, like a Bija mantra we say in the.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. It could be a mantra, it could be a thought, like we said, it could be, thinking about, oh, how do I get surrender to the divine? How do I surrender to the divine? This Kumar is saying every week, surrender. And he also says it's very, very difficult. Why? I don't know why he says it is difficult. I prostrate in my puja room every day. I prostrate. Whenever I go to the temple, I prostrate. What is this surrender he is talking about? And then one day you start contemplating. This fellow keeps on saying surrender, and I know everything about surrender. Why is he saying this is not surrender, that is not surrender? And then you reflect, and that is Savichara Samadhi, beginning of Savichara. With me? Make sense?
So, like you said, in the example of yourself, I am going to work, and then you differentiated between I and the divine's intervention.
Hmm.
So, I was just thinking on reflecting on that I, because that I am doing it like that is the part where I feel like I mean the surrender also has to come, because that I has to go into that, like I am doing it, I that's me, mine, or I am doing this office work, or whatever action I'm doing. And
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
so who is this I coming from also, like with whom
Yes.
I'm like so attached about me, myself, and my things. And
I think we should not mix too many things. See, that particular example was for Savitarka.
yeah,
So let's not mix it with a higher truth. So if we say, who am I? And then we start with that. The who am I is a Savichara. Savichara. Because who am I is a Savichara principle, right?
yeah,
It is abstract.
yeah,
See, as long as I am I am identifying that I with this physical body, it makes no sense. Correct?
mm,
See, normally 99% of the time, 99% of the population, 99% of the 99.99% of the population, 99% of the time, people are identifying I with the physical body, right?
correct,
Not with the chitta. Now, after coming to this class, we know that there are two things. One is my physical body, and then I have a software called chitta.
yeah,
Correct?
mm,
So when I say I, we are really referring to that chitta. Correct?
yeah,
And in that chitta, is the chitta pure?
no, that's where the whole vitarka is happening.
Yeah. So the chitta is not pure. Why is
Yeah,
it not pure? It is
because
not
of
because it has got karma, it has got klesha.
kleshas and avidya kshetram and all that.
Yeah. Kleshas are the avidya, uh, raga, dvesha, and all that.
Yeah,
It is klesha. So because of the klesha, the chittavrittis happen. Because of the chittavrittis happen, and our gunas are not in our control.
correct, correct,
So we react. Because
yeah,
we react, we accumulate karma. The more karma we accumulate, and upon death, we are ready for rebirth. We have no choice.
mm,
Correct? This cycle goes on and on and on. So
mm,
this I has to be purified.
mm,
This chitta, which we are calling as I, this chitta
mm,
has to be purified. Why it has to be purified? This chitta, every chitta, we are saying, has got a purusha, has got the content of the divine. Because
yeah,
we are all the chip of the old block, Adi Atma. When I say old block, that is that Adi Atma. We saw in Sutra 47, Adi Atma, right?
mm,
That Adi Atma is that unmanifest divine. He has given that we saw in that picture, that connection, right? Hold on, let me share that. Maybe that would make a little bit more sense now. this connection here, the cosmic intelligence resides, blah, blah, blah. And see, to each chitta, that green arrow that you see here,
Yeah.
so it is connect, each chitta has that connection, that green arrow. Although it is not shown in this picture right away, it is shown by that green rectangle.
Yeah.
So this connectivity to Ishvara, this arrow, which is in each and every, so at this end here, where the arrow is touching the, we may just, think of it at that time, at that place is where we have that modem, software modem. And that we are calling as the Purusha. That is that Atman.
Okay.
That is absolutely pure in everybody. Because that is a peace from the divine, from Ishvara himself. So that is pure in everyone. But it is pure, but it is not, it is not in our control. And we don't even know it is there. So I mean, people tell that all in the creation, everything is divine. That is why Swami Vivekananda said, every human is potentially divine. He said, that's why he used the word potentially divine. He didn't say every human being is divine. Potentially divine. When do you become divine? When all these other parts of the chitta, all of them become dormant. All the other programs become dormant.
Yeah.
Then alone we become divine. Not until then. Is everyone going to be 100% divine? Even if we all take this seriously and we all go through the abhyasa, everything? Maybe not.
Yeah.
Maybe not. But that's okay. We may still be purified enough to not get back. To
Correct.
avoid this rebirth. See, that is the first step. Avoiding the rebirth is the first step. And we build from there. You may still not have 100% connectivity to the divine, but you can avoid rebirth. Which means upon death, if in that state if I die, I may be hanging out in zone B. Undisturbed. I'll be hanging out in zone B and maybe helping those who are embodied and they who are praying. I may be helping them. It's not a bad thing, right?
Kumarji,
Yes.
isn't it manifesting or going against the cosmic chitta to avoid rebirth?
What is it?
Isn't it against the cosmic chitta to avoid rebirth? Because Prakriti or, they have given us this life and
Yes.
we trying to manifest or avoid rebirth. Isn't it against the cosmic
The
chitta?
purpose of life is not to be reborn.
For us.
Yes. For all human beings, the purpose of life is to merge with the divine.
What is the purpose of cosmic chitta then?
Cosmic chitta launches the chittas to do various type of work. See, everybody comes here and starts only meditating. How will the universe run? Tell me.
That's my question.
So one may do this for 20 years or 30 years or 40 years or 60 years or 70 years or 80 years or until death. Only run around and die and come back. But there will be some Like Adi Shankara woke up at the age of 7 or 8. And there have been the Nayanmas, Tirunjana Sambandar. Tirunjana Sambandar was only 2.5, 3 when he got the divine connectivity. And he started writing or chanting slokas at that age. I mean, we see this in the modern world also. A 2 or a 3-year-old child, I've seen some videos where the 3-year-old child corrects the mother, saying that the mother is going off key while singing, I'm saying. Where did this come from? The child, 3-year-old child, sings and shows the mother. The mother herself is singing. He is at a pretty high level and singing nicely, but she's being slightly off tune. The child immediately, her eyes become big and she says, "Huh?" I mean, I'm sure you all have seen it. Where is it coming from? That kind of intelligence. See, on the one hand, you will say divine gift. And on the other hand, not only on the other hand, we will say, oh, my child is brilliant. And that brilliance, we will always attribute to the child so that we feel good. We feel good in that borrowed recognition to the child. How sad. I want to stop this here.
This is interesting. This also took me to the thought of Yashoda and Krishna's relation. Yashoda doesn't know who Krishna is, and then she is totally into him. And I think there is an element of bhakti in a very innocent way.
Mm-hmm. See, the recognition of of the divine in our life has to be done by each one of us in our own way. It cannot be prescribed. It cannot be prescribed. Like I said, how Priya is attending the retreat. She just could not connect. In fact, even yesterday, after all this discussion, she said, now, now that you say this, I think I should connect it that way, but I am not there yet. I mean, she was honest. She was honest. And that honesty, that integrity, internal integrity, honesty will take a very, very long way, not that external one, the internal one. When you're honest and say, this is what I am. See, the first step is to understand where we are in this journey. Like Lavanya will tell me, sir, I don't know anything. That is the honesty. That's honesty to me.
Can you see my chat?
Huh?
Can you look in my chat?
Can she? I didn't get you.
Look in my chat.
Chat box.
Okay, I will look at it. Oh, there are 3 questions. All right. Samadhi is born out of our understanding of all the previous sutras. So those are seeds, correct? But for Samadhi to happen, Samadhi, one can have a understanding, but the real Samadhi, practically it has to happen, right? For that to happen, the divine has to extend its hand. That grace has to come from above. That's not in our hands. We can only make the prayatna. We can only put that effort. We can do that Sathu, Dirgha Kala, Nairantariya, Satkara Sevito, Dridabhu. We can do that. All that we can do. Then you're saying, so I am a robot and controlled by remote by Ishvara. No, you are not controlled by Ishvara. You are controlled by your karma, kleshas. And Ishvara wants to help you get out of that, of this stupid control. You are a remote, you are a robot under the control of your kleshas and karmas and vasanas, yes, sanskaras.
Kumar, I have a slightly different thought processes based on all the discussions here. I think each one of us is born with a purpose in this world, and that is, you can call it the dharma or whatever it is. So we all have our dharma, and that is the reason why we are here. Yes, we should be guided by some humility and not take credit for everything that we do, and bring that humility into our actions. But we should do whatever we have to do in this life, driven by that purpose or dharma of our life. I mean,
Absolutely. There is no
so as
doubt
a
about that.
mother or as a colleague or as a professional or as an employer or as an employee, everywhere there is this very clear definition of what is right and what is wrong and how we should go about doing it. And I think that should be the major purpose of living. I mean, it cannot be that I work towards that goal of zeroing my karma so that I'm not born again. And I think that's the second
That's what I'm
thing.
saying, that zeroing of karmas not to be born again, that feeling only certain people will get, not everybody will have that. That is based on the cosmic flow.
No, I'm saying that is a secondary thing. The primary thing is we have this life to live and we have to live it well.
Nobody is denying that.
Okay.
What I am saying is,
somewhere I feel there is a confusion, at least based on the discussions that I heard from others.
You're right.
That
I had that confusion. You're right.
no, it is. I have seen this also coming up with others who ask these questions. That so, what is this? What should be the driving force for us when I wake up in the morning? What should drive us every day? I'm
dharma.
saying
Dharma
dharma.
should drive you.
Correct.
Dharma.
It is my purpose in life has to drive me. So
Yes.
I have different roles to play. I wear various hats. Those are the hats I should be true to and I should justify it. I should be sure that I'm doing the right thing. I'm doing enough as a daughter, mother-in-law, mother, whatever it is. I
Yes.
mean, I should be
Everyone has
comfortable.
see, why is that only I bring up this? Why did Adi Shankara alone become, renounced at the age of 7 or 8? Why didn't it happen to everybody? It didn't, because that is not the requirement of the cosmic flow.
True.
Right?
And
that's not the
correct.
requirement of cosmic flow. The cosmic flow's requirement was Adi Shankara to renounce at the age of 7. If Adi Shankara had not renounced at the age of 7, it would have been some other dharmic disaster at that point of time. So cosmic flow will make things in such a way that Adi Shankara will wake up to that reality and renounce and do what he needed to do. He died at the age of 31 or 32, very young. And
Correct.
his full state of enlightenment came only around 29, 30. He was fully enlightened only for a last couple of years. So all his works prior to that would have some klesha, right? Would have some klesha, correct?
Yes, but he was certainly a higher individual compared to the rest of us.
Absolutely, no doubt
So,
about that. What I'm
our
saying,
kleshas and his klesha, there's no comparison.
no, I'm not comparing it. I'm saying that when that full samadhi state is not reached, whatever one writes is not 100%. Is not 100%. So there will be some errors because there is this interference of the various sanskaras that are inside us. So
It's
that's
still
why.
a commentary and interpretation. I mean, like whatever the various masters have written, it's everybody's interpretation and their commentary on the text. So
We will
yes,
see one of these things.
Yeah, I'm going to
in-
take one also.
We will see one of
You fry up peru per rakhna si. Man tete char char ka khai na.
I didn't follow what was being said. Anyways, all I'm saying is until I'm trying to get to what Patanjali is saying, that until that nirvichara, that samprajna state happens, until then there are various states. There are various states that we have seen, but we have not seen all the various states. Some of them he has given some milestones, let's say. So one passes through all this. This is just to tell us, hey, you're not there yet. Yet. You're not there yet. When are you there? Is only when you have that 100% connectivity. And he's going to explain what is that 100% connectivity, etc. We've not seen those sutras yet. So, even as one goes through this, because there is some clarity, so I start writing a book. Okay, or I start composing something. Obviously, there will be errors in that. That's what I'm trying to get at.
sure, that I agree. I mean, that I understood.
So, all through history of mankind, in just not only in Hindu religion, in every kind of religion, these things have happened. I mean, and we are not at a state to comment on any of those things because we are still struggling to understand these concepts.
True.
So understanding the concepts, and then it has to become a reality in our life. So this is why every time there is something that happens, like in the case of Priya. So I bring it up and say, this is how you see. As long you say this is coincidence, that is coincidence, you will never get there. You'll never get there. Because the mind will continue to play the trick on us. Because we have not been raised that way. None
Or
of
I'll do it tomorrow types.
none
So
of
the
us,
most
none of us have been raised that way.
are there.
Because we have been raised in a very rational, survival-oriented environment.
No, you're right. There's a whole set of everyone goes with kleshas, a set of kleshas,
Yes.
and that's what is our ability or the shackles. That's what it is for us.
Yes.
Whichever term we give to it.
Coming back to your question, so why did I have to go through this ringer of life? That's what Dr. Rajan would say. He would say, Kumar, you are thrown into the ringer of life. Why? Because without that ringing, I'm not going to say, oh, is there anything beyond this life that every morning I wake up at 5 o'clock, run to work, come back, do whatever I need, I earn money, I save, I invest, I educate my children. Is there anything beyond that? Okay, I'm also involved in some charity work. Is there anything beyond that? That comes only when you're put in the ringer of life. See, even for Dr. Rajan, the ringer of life came with the divorce. I mean, this is public knowledge, so I can say this. He was hardly married for I don't know how long, not more than 1 or 2 years, or maybe even less. I don't know exactly the time. And then it was happened, and that set him thinking. And he was working for American Express, and he was having a decent, very good life, money wise, financially he was quite all right. But he was always, but all through his education, everything was oriented towards yoga. Yeah, I think his bachelor's was in yoga science or whatever. His master's was in that, and his PhD in I think University of Maryland. That was also obviously in the field of yoga. So he was always associated with that and deep into meditation and all that. So all this helped him in understanding when such a life situation came to let go, and then said there has to be a higher purpose. So and he started on this journey of this higher purpose, and then things happened. And then when he was barely 52, 53, he left his job. He left his job and then started this full time. They started a small charitable organization called Life in Yoga Institute, and he was the only person, but there were some donations that came in, and he barely took enough money to survive on a monthly basis. That's all he withdrew from the organization for all that he was putting in. He never said, "Oh, I'm working 7 days a week without vacation." It did not matter. Like what Prime Minister Narendra Modi says. He works all 7 days, right? All 7 days, 24 hours, travels to different countries, gets. I mean, think of that. He is 75, he's 3 years older than me. And for me, if I come to Chennai, it takes me 10 to 15 days to get over the jet lag. Not for him. Why? Jet lag doesn't affect him. He is taking some pill for jet lag? No. So I call that as divine connectivity. In a different way. So it's almost time to wind up. Always interesting discussion, debate. Any questions?
Could I call intuition a connection to divine?
Intuition?
Intuition is equal to connection to divine.
Absolutely.
Oh, well.
See, I also wrote in one of my messages that early in the 90s, when the awakening came, I made a conscious effort to understand this luck and what else? Coincidence.
Wow. So then.
And then I threw those 2 words out of the vocabulary. I never used them in any written communication, in any spoken words. I would consciously make an effort. I'm not saying 100% I achieved it. Consciously, I would make an effort not to use those words. And at work also, I will make sure that I don't. Unfortunately, at work, I cannot say divine grace, correct? I can't say that. So I would, in a roundabout way, not using the coincidence, I would say something else. But in settings outside of work, I would say divine grace. And immediately, slowly, many of my friends started falling off. My circle became smaller. Okay.
So that is done by effort. But I
Yes.
suspect I was born like that because throughout my life, I had lots of, I call that intuition, but now I'm learning it's connected to divine
Yes.
in many, many instances. And even now,
I will tell you what I noticed lately is happening. I often had an urge to go to a certain shop, like second-hand bookshop.
Yeah.
I never been to, but I feel I must go, and I go, and guess what? There's the book. I was looking everywhere for it, out of print, and that's what I need now to read. And that's happening again and again. Or I go to the shop and there is some items of clothes I would like to have, but no designer designed it. There's no way. So I wear other clothes which I don't like. I on certain day I get this urge to go. I hop in the car, and guess what? That's where it is, and it's looking at me. I'm so happy. I think this is uncanny. Or I will have urge to phone my sister or somebody, and guess what? She says, "Oh, I was just thinking about you." So what? Well, I just need to tell you this or compare something else. Or I also have another friend who phone when I'm thinking of her. She says, "Wow, we don't understand it. We just call it intuition or we are connected somehow. But now I see it's a divine connection."
See, it's think of it this way, Tatiana. The modern language, uh, modern man, he has made the language God independent. So, what maybe 200 years back, I would say divine voice. Now I can no longer say divine voice. I have to say intuition. 200 years back or 300 years back, if I could say divine gift, now I have to say luck. So the vocabulary of man has changed and changed and changed and changed. And with every change, he has pushed himself further and further and away from divinity. He has made every effort to do that. And now we are trying to go back, at least in this class. So it is a tough task. It is a tough ask also. It completely needs reprogramming.
Yes.
Anyway, on that note, let's stop. It's yeah, 8:45. Thank you very much. Namaste, everyone. We'll meet next Saturday. Thank you. Namaste.